Hello and welcome to another video in accounting. We are continuing to discuss depreciation methods. There are two videos on the channel. One talks about what depreciation is and why we need it. And in the second one talks about the first depreciation method, that is the straight line method. So do watch both of those videos for more info on the topic. So what's depreciation? Depreciation is the allocation of the cost of the asset to expense over the useful life of the assets. Businesses purchase assets with the intention of using them for a number of periods. As these assets are used in each period, they help business earn revenue. In accounting, anything that is used becomes expense. Since these assets are used in each period, so the cost of these assets should become expense in each of the period it is used, and this is known as depreciation. Once depreciation amount is calculated, it needs to be recorded. The journal entry is to debit depreciation expense for the usage and credit accumulated depreciation for that asset. Remember, we do not credit the asset account itself because of the accounting concept called historical cost concept, which tells us to keep the original cost of the asset in the accounting books and use the accumulated depreciation account to collect the depreciation for the periods and then deduct that from the value of the asset on the financial statements. Let's discuss depreciation methods. The first method is the straight line method. This is already discussed in another video, so do watch that video. The second method is the unit of production method, and the third one is the reducing balance method. Remember, companies choose the method that best matches the benefits from the assets. If the benefits from the assets are equal in each period, we use the straight line method. However, if the benefits depend on how the asset is used in each period, then we need the unit of production method. In this video, we are going to discuss the unit of production method. Now, before we discuss the unit of production method, we need to understand what we need to calculate depreciation amount. To calculate depreciation amount, we need the cost of the asset. This can be determined from the invoice. We need the residual value of the asset. This is the value at the end of this asset useful life when the asset is sold. So this is the amount of the asset value at the end of its useful life when it is sold. This amount is estimated at the beginning of the asset useful life, which is at the time of purchase. And remember that this is the amount that will not be depreciated, so it is deducted from the cost. And finally, we need the useful life of the asset. The useful life of the asset is measured in time, that is the number of years the asset will be used, or it will be measured in the unit of output. That is, for example, for a vehicle, how many kilometers this vehicle will be driven. For a machine, for example, it will be how many units are made with that. So the life of the asset can be years or can be the unit of output. Let's look at the unit of production method. So when do we need this method? Unit of production method is used if the asset benefits the period depending on the usage, that is the output of the asset. Remember, if the benefits from the asset are equal in each period, we use the straight line method. However, if the benefits depend on how it is used, then we need to use the unit of production method. Here's an example. This line represents the life of a business, which is divided into accounting periods. So this accounting period number 1, 2, and 3. An asset is purchased in accounting period 1 and is used in accounting period 1. So here this truck is driven for 40,000 kilometers in period 1. This truck is driven for 68,000 kilometers in period 2. And this asset is used for 50,000 kilometers in period 3. So you can see that this asset benefits are dependent on how it is used. In period 1, it is used 40,000 kilometers, so the benefits will be according to 40,000 kilometers. Similarly, in period 2, 68,000 kilometers, so the benefits are according to the usage of that asset. And finally, in year 3, it is used 50,000 kilometers. So again, the benefits to the business will be according to how this is used. So to calculate depreciation for this truck, we will need the unit of production method. We cannot use the straight line method here. So let's look at how the unit of production method works. Step number 1 is to calculate the depreciation per unit of output, which is to take the cost of the asset minus the residual value and divide it by useful life. If you have watched the first method, that is the straight line method video, you will know that the formula for both methods is the same. So to calculate the amount of depreciation, the formula for the unit of production method as well as for the straight line method is the same, with only one difference. And that is that the useful life in straight line method is measured in years. Here, not years, but the unit of output. So the useful life here will be the total units produced with that asset, the total kilometers that asset is driven, or the total hours the asset will be used. Once we calculate the depreciation per unit of output, that is per unit produced, per kilometer driven, or per hour used, we can then calculate the depreciation for the period. That is in step 2. So in step 2, we take the depreciation per unit of output and multiply it with the number of units of output in that period. In other words, how much this asset is used in each period. So that means how many units are produced in each period, how many kilometers the asset is driven in each period, and how many hours the asset is used. We take that usage and multiply it by the the depreciation per unit of output. Let's look at an example. A delivery truck costs $25,000 with residual value of 2,000 and is to be driven for a total of 200,000 kilometers. The B2B delivery company drives it in the following manner. Year 1, they drive it 30,000 kilometers. Year 2, 60,000. Year 3, 40,000. Year 4 and 5, the asset is driven 50,000 and 20,000 kilometers respectively. So we need to calculate depreciation for each year. Now we need to take the cost, which is $25,000, minus the residual value of 2,000 and divide it by the useful life. Remember, the useful life here is measured in the total number of kilometers the asset will be driven, not in the number of years. So here is the solution. First step is to calculate the depreciation per unit. So we take $25,000 minus $2,000 of residual value divided by total kilometers, 200,000. This will give us depreciation per unit or per kilometer of $0.115. Now, to calculate depreciation for each period, we just have to find out what the usage was in that period and multiply that by this depreciation per kilometer. So let's look at year 1. In year 1, the usage was 30,000 kilometers, and we will multiply that by the depreciation per unit, 0.115, to give us the total depreciation for year 1 as $3,450. Let's look at year 2. In year 2, the asset was driven for 60,000 kilometers, that is the usage. Multiply that by again depreciation per kilometer in step 1, giving us $6,900 of depreciation for year 2. As you can see, this asset is used in different ways, in different manner. So the benefits to the business are different depending on the usage. So should the depreciation be. So the depreciation should also match the benefits. Let's look at the other years. As you can see that in year 3, 4, and 5, the asset is used differently, but again, the usage will be multiplied by the depreciation per kilometer to give us depreciation for that period. Once the amount is calculated, we need to record it. I will show you the entry for the first year, and the entry for the other years will be the same, except the amounts will change. So at the end of the first year, the entry would be to debit depreciation expense 3,450 and credit the accumulated depreciation for that asset, which is the truck, $3,450. We will repeat the same entry for the next period, year 2, but with different amount, which is 6,900. Now, this is how the unit of production method works. So remember that you need to look at the benefits coming from this asset and then choose the appropriate method of depreciation to match those benefits. I hope this video was helpful. Do watch this video again and share it with your friends. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification icon for more videos on accounting and other topics. I will see you in another video.